frustrating week for you. How's the body holding up?
Yeah, look, I feel really healthy and fine. Obviously, when you think about having a week in hospital, people probably think the worst, but the challenge was I was feeling completely fine. It was just an infection that needed to be treated. Untreated can be quite dangerous, so needed to just get it treated. And the hospital were fantastic in obviously having me in there, but also the ongoing treatment that I'll get. But it's good to be out. It's good to be down at Casey. Good to be back around the boys in the club.
Do you feel like it affected the boys last week, obviously with you missing some time?
Oh, not really, no. We're sort of blessed with our coaching group. Obviously Troy Chaplin, Andrew McWalter, Greg Stafford, their ability to take over the program and run it really smoothly, but also our leadership group. We're really happy with that. We've got a really strong leadership group, and Goody and Vines and the leaders all stepped up, and they prepared themselves really well.
Have you had a chance to look back on the Giants game yet? It was a hot start in that first quarter, but it seemed to flow more in the Giants' way the rest of the game.
Yeah, look, we spoke about it post-game that our best is really strong. Our first quarter was as dynamic as anything that we've seen for a while in our footy, and the challenge for us is to continue to do that more consistently, and that was the message in the game. And what we reviewed how strong we were and what those things that in our game that were really strong, and then we looked at how can we get the momentum back in the game. For a big part of the middle part of the game, it didn't quite look like a game we wanted to be involved in. And by the end of the game, we'd got that back. So, we just got to do it more consistently, do it for longer, and that's what we're working on during the week.
How's Goody pulled up? He seemed a bit like he was still hindered from that leg injury. How's he pulled up?
Yeah, look, he's pulled up well. He won't do a lot this week. Obviously, a short turnaround for us. So he's really about getting his body right. He's a pretty mature player. He's had a pretty big load throughout the year, so he'll have a pretty quiet week leading into the weekend. But it was just great to have him back out there. He has a great presence for us, and obviously gives us a good look at the ball. So he's just going to get better over the next few weeks.
Clary showed glimpses of his best footy. How hard's this season been for him in terms of shutting out that external noise and just knuckling down and playing great footy?
Yeah, obviously it's a challenge for any player to have the scrutiny that he's had both in the off season and leading into the season and throughout the season. But he has been fantastic in what he's focused in on. He's actually focused in trying to be the best player he can be and embrace everything within his program, not only on the field but off the field. And he's done that to a really high level, and it was great to see him get some reward on the weekend. And we just think that he's still got plenty of great footy left in him.
Big win last time against the Dogs in round one, but lots changed since then, injuries and form and whatnot. How do you shut down their midfield on Friday night?
Yeah, look, they're in brilliant form, and I think you've seen for any side throughout the year, you go through phases in the season where you're in really strong form, and there's no question the Bulldogs are in the best form that I've seen them for a long, long time. They're defending to a high level, their midfield's in great form, and they've got a pretty dynamic front half of the ground. So we know what we're up against, but we're looking forward to it. We think that some of our footy in recent times has been really strong as well, even though we haven't got some of the results that we've been looking for. We think we've shown some signs, and we're looking to see how we go against one of the best teams in the comp at the moment.
Rory Lobb's been pretty influential for them down back. How do you negate a key defender like Rory?
I think it's not just Rory, it's their aerial game in general, their intercept game. They've got that up to a really high level, and it's something that our forwards have done a lot of work on, and how to nullify opposition defenders in taking aerial contests. So we'll back our guys in. Clearly, those three guys for the Dogs are having a huge impact in games, and we're going to make sure that we can get the game looking like it's a Melbourne game more often.
Can you feel there's more additional pressure going into this week, given sort of every game's got to be a must-win from now on?
I think every game at this time of the year is heightened. Winning becomes accelerated, and obviously the thought of losing becomes a bit more dire. But that's the reality that we live in. We try not to hold that space internally, because it's not a good place to be, because you can't control a lot of that takes place. All you can control is how we train today, how we prepare ourselves for the weekend, and how we go about our role execution on game day. And we need to live in that space more often than not. But we understand externally people are going to ride the highs and the lows of win and loss at this time of year. It's never been more heightened, the competition's never been tighter, and we know what's up for grabs. So we don't have to go looking for it. It's around you, but we need to focus on what we can control.
Can you remember a time in your coaching or playing career when the competition's been this tight, around 21?
No, I haven't. No, it's been an unbelievable season in that space. You know, you just see so many teams fluctuate between, you only need 2 or 3 wins in a row to be right up there in the competition. You only need 2 or 3 losses to be out of the 8 and on the way down. So it's fluctuated so much. There's 4 weeks to go. I'm sure there'll be another fluctuation in the season, another twist that it will take, and hopefully we're part of a positive twist.
Lucky Hunter returned to the VFL. Is he a chance to play game 200 against his former side?
Yeah, look, he obviously on limited time last week, so we'll have a look how he trains today. But he performed strongly in that time that he had. But it's good to see him out there. He's had a pretty tough year, with his a lot of calf injuries in his body. So it's just good to get him back out there playing some footy. But he's going to be an important player in the next month for us.
Sarah, any questions for Goody?
Nice work, Trent, firstly. But just further to the Dogs' aerial dominance footy, do you look to play a bit of dirty ball, perhaps? Because I think the cautionary tale last week against the Swans was, you know, when you bomb it long, I mean, there's 3 intercepting players who are probably going to be very good in the air.
Yeah, look, it's certainly something we're going to have to look at, you know, later in the week about how we enter the ball inside 50. You know, the good thing about you know, what we're coming up against is we train against it all the time. You know, we train against May, Lever, McDonald, who are quite strong aerially as well. You know, we're 20-mark opposition kicks ourselves on the weekend. So we train against this type of defence all the time. We're well aware of the impact that it can have both for you as a team, but also if you don't get it right from an offensive perspective. So we'll spend some time in that space to make sure that we get that right, but it's going to be a big factor in the game.
I mean, the midfield battle is always so important, isn't it? But given that the likes of Jamara are really up and going at the moment, how crucial does this midfield battle become?
Yeah, look, it's a huge battle in the game, and if you give any team good supply and with not much pressure on the ball inside 50, they're going to have an impact in the game, and that's going to be our challenge, is not only win the midfield battle, but any time the Bulldogs win the ball, that they've got some pressure on them and makes their entries even harder. So that's going to be one of the challenges in the game. And you know, everything that we've spoken about today, you've gone through every line for the of the Dogs, of their backs, their mids and their forwards. You know, everyone's talking about them for a reason. They're in good form. So we know what we're up against and the challenge that sits within it, but we've got to make sure we get us right first and foremost and be really aggressive with what we want in the game.
Just given the context of the season, it is one of those classic 8-point games, isn't it? Given where the Bulldogs sit and where you sit on the ladder, do you have to buy into that narrative at all, or is that a bit dangerous?
Look, it's dangerous. Clearly, it's around you. Everyone can feel it, everyone can see it, everyone can hear it. As I spoke about, you're going to ride the emotion of these type of games as you get towards the back end of the year. But like any of these games, these big games towards the back end of the game, you've got to lean into them and control what you can control, and that's all we can do. And we're looking forward to that. Now, if we get us right for longer, we'll be right in the game.
Want to see more from the Ds? Then don't forget to subscribe up here.